Staying on top of that breaking news we've been telling you about, a second earthquake has hit West Michigan in a matter of just months. Let's take a look at the map right now. A 3.3 magnitude earthquake hit in Calhoun County south of Battle Creek. It was a 4.2 magnitude quake that hit Galesburg back on May 2nd. You may recall that. Don Blakeman from the USGS is joining us live on the phone right now. Don, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hey, what can you tell us about this earthquake?
Well, this earthquake is considerably smaller than the one that happened back on May 2nd. We've got our preliminary magnitude of 3.3 on this one. It appears as though this is probably an aftershock. It's very close to the location of the one back in May, which is not unusual. That's the sort of thing we would expect.
It's not that unusual. Did you know what was happening just as soon as as you felt it?
Yeah, basically we have computer systems that are automatically looking for quakes all the time, and they're pretty good. And so we knew about this one about 2 to 3 minutes after it happened.
Mm-hmm. And is it unusual for the aftershock to be this far from the first one?
Well, it's really not all that far. And even if it's not a direct aftershock of that, it's part of the same system that's creating these quakes.
And do you see any kind of damage from any of your data?
No, a quake of magnitude 3.3, a lot of people will have felt it and did feel it, as you know, but it's not large enough to cause any damage.
No, nothing like that. Okay.
No.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it. We're going to continue to follow this, and it is so interesting that. Is there any reason, Don, that we would be feeling earthquakes at this point more so than many years that we've ever felt one?
Not really. It's fairly rare in Michigan, as you know, but it's not an alarming thing. Almost anywhere in the U.S. we can have these kinds of quakes.
Right.
You know, we're all used to having a lot of quakes in California or hearing about quakes in Japan, which are locations on the edges of the tectonic plates. Michigan is not in that situation, but it can still have some quakes. For instance, yesterday we had a quake in Mississippi. So these things happen occasionally.
They do happen occasionally, but two in Michigan in such a short span of time, it's very unusual.
Well, it's a bit unusual, but it's not so much if this turns out, you know, if we end up officially labeling this an aftershock, it's not that unusual. Once you have a quake, even in the 4.2 range, you can have some aftershocks, and that's not uncommon.
Yeah. Okay.
And shouldn't be a cause for alarm either.
No. Okay. Well, it was such a low degree magnitude that it just really felt like we talked with someone earlier that had gone through, and of course a lot of people have been commenting on social media that it really just felt like rumbling, like trucks were going by or something. So it was barely felt, but yet people knew, I think, from May what it could have been, and it was an earthquake.
Right, and that's a very typical description of quakes of this size.
Well, Mr. Blakeman, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Sure, you're welcome.
Have a good day.
You too.
Let's turn our attention to the 24-hour